Vancouver West End.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today, the Vancouver District Student Council, Gay Straight Alliances from all across BC joined forces to call on the Premier to finally put action behind her words. Action behind her words on the eve of Pink Shirt Day, Anti-Bullying Day. As members in this House know, 2/3 of lesbian, gay, bi and trans youth feel unsafe in our schools. They know that 25% are physically assaulted in the schools for being who they are. My question is to the Premier. She says that the vulnerable need to be looked out for. Will she finally bring in policy to protect lesbian, gay, bi and trans youth explicitly in our school systems?
Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I, as a broadcaster, led a team that brought Pink Shirt Day here to British Columbia from Nova Scotia, I did it because I was, like the member opposite, profoundly concerned that so many children in our school system and adults in workplaces feel the long-term, deep impacts of bullying for a lifetime. I spoke to many people who have, in the course of doing my radio show, I spoke to many people who felt it, who lived with it, many people who could never recover from it. It is a terrible thing for anyone to experience bullying. I am deeply committed to making sure we address this issue. It was part of our throne speech that the Lieutenant Governor delivered in this House in the fall. I reiterated my commitment to that recently. We will be taking action on this issue. There are very few issues about which I am more passionate than this one. And I promise the member this: we will work with him to make sure that we bring in the best legislation, the best policy, the best methods we possibly can of addressing this issue in workplaces, in schools, and in homes for all people across British Columbia.
Member has supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I appreciate the Premier's concern, but it's a concern that she's been expressing since she was Minister of Education, when she brought in a policy that contained 0 recommendations to help gay, lesbian, bi and trans students, despite the fact that in the report it said that was one of the top issues. Students have graduated. They've gone through elementary school, they've gone through high school, and they've graduated in the time that this government has sat on its hands. Today I heard from David, a grade 9 student from Richmond, speaking about attempting suicide because he's been constantly bullied for being gay. 75% of our school districts have 0 policy to explicitly protect lesbian, gay, bi and trans youth. In January last year, the Premier claimed homophobic bullying and addressing it would be a top priority. She would get her education minister to get right on it. Well, when I did a Freedom of Information request for all the work that was done last year, what did I get? 4 blank pages. That's it. That's the sum total of this government's work on this issue. So my question to the Premier is, when will she stop just expressing concern? And when will she, now that she's Premier, and has been Premier for over a year, actually do something about it? Our kids are counting on us.
Premier.
Mr. Speaker, we will be taking action on this, as I promised, in this, our second session of the legislature since I've been Premier. We will be doing that this session. I take it that the member, despite his cynicism about my intentions, would like to be a part of that. I'd be happy if he would be. Bullying is an issue that unites us all. And he can tell stories about people who've been bullied, so can I. I can tell you stories about grieving mothers whose children have jumped off bridges because they were called gay. And they were bullied and persecuted at school relentlessly. I can tell you stories of little girls who went to school from the time they were kindergarten until the time they were in grade 10, who had words written on their gym strip, who had their clothes thrown in the garbage, who had no one to eat lunch with every single day. I can tell you a lot of stories about that, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure everybody in this chamber could tell a similar story. I have literally met hundreds of people who have existed and who have been through some of the worst experiences you can imagine. There are very few issues, as I said, about which I am more passionate. We are working very hard on addressing this issue, and I tell the member this, as I did in the throne speech and as I did earlier last month, we are going to deal with it, and we are going to deal with it in this session of the legislature.